dice. You never know if it could change your life. Take a chance, you're neither wrong or right. You never know if you don't roll them dice. You better roll them dice. You never know if it'll change your
Matt,
life.
I know that they've been making a big deal out of clapping for and celebrating our healthcare workers, our grocery store clerks, the real frontline heroes.
They're the heroes
of this pandemic. But Matt, I think that there's one group of people that needs some recognition, and that's podcasters and online DMs. Because hear me out, Matt.
I was gonna say like take out delivery people, check out grocery store folks.
I said retail clerks.
Firefighters.
I failed to
actors
mention.
who play firefighters.
Now hold on.
Station
Now hold on,
19.
Matt. Now hold on, Matt.
Shonda Rhimes herself. Maybe.
Yes, the real heroes. But in a way, we're the most heroic of all, because if you switch your in-person Dungeons and Dragons game to an online Dungeons and Dragons game, you are literally saving lives. You are a life saver. You are a hero, a true champion of social distancing. So, tell you what, everybody, give yourselves
so many rides.
Give yourself a round of applause, because you're the real heroes. Okay, anyway, we're not. Nobody's a hero. Nobody signed up for this. Nobody should have to put their life on the line so that somebody can have groceries or whatever, and that's a nightmare.
Hey, but Rob, they can, like my students, they can get paid $10 an hour to expose themselves and their families.
Wait, is that true?
Yeah, $10 an hour. That's what a lot of my students get paid.
To do what? Like I thought your students were
like a grocery.
I thought they were in middle school.
Store. No, I teach seniors, Rob. You know nothing about me. You don't understand me at all. I teach 12th grade. I'm preparing them for their owls.
Oh, that's right. You teach government. I do that.
Yeah.
Anyway, hello, everyone.
God damn it. Sometimes I don't think you care about me at all.
Matt, what do I do?
Creative advertising.
That's not true either. All right. Matt and I love each other. We know each other very well. Hello, everyone. This is Dungeon Master of None. I'm Rob.
I think Rob's like an ad man, like in Don Draper. Pretty much.
I'll let you believe that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Matt, say you're part of the intro. We're 2 minutes in and you haven't told people what we are.
I'm Matt. I'm Dungeon Master Matt.
We're also professional podcasters. We're really good at this. We take this very seriously, and yeah. So we're a month into the pandemic. We've done a bunch of content today. I think we're just going to talk about some things that have been happening. There's been quite a bit of news.
I think that was good enough for today as well.
That's it.
I'm ready to sign out.
All right, 3-minute podcast done. We're just gonna talk about the news, we'll answer some letters, we'll let you know what's going on. Matt, how are your games going?
My games are good. I wrote up another mystery last night, and then I had a great experience with one of my online games, which I never know how these things are gonna go, but I love putting just a weird thing in front of my player, especially if it connects to their plot. And that's kind of vague, but maybe I can elaborate.
Oh no, I know exactly what you mean. I like it when you can put something in front of someone and they pick up on it, or you can tie into their backstory or their character arc in a way that actually fits. Because you're kind of just throwing that out there sometimes, right? You're kind of just guessing. You never know how a player is going to respond.
Well, it's a tale of two ways to lore dump. Let's say you have, like me, a bunch of lore that the players want and need to discover about themselves and the plot and the world. Okay?
Okay.
So in this campaign, players are planeswalkers from Magic the Gathering. They have sparks, and they're trying to figure out why they can only planeswalk when they all do it together. And they're also trying to figure out who, brought them together and messed with them. In scenario A, the players followed a newly minted planeswalker to their first random plane. It was a desolated, wasted plane. And they came across a mysterious lump of tar on the ground, like a big lump of pulsating, energy and dried up ley lines. And it talked to them. And it was hard to communicate with and very scary. They it was one of those things they're like, all right, we're going to put all our buff spells on and like tie someone to a rope and send them down into the crater to talk to this thing.
The rope.
Like,
that's how you know they're taking it seriously.
They were taking it so seriously. And, and this is fine by me. Like, it heightens the tension, but there's nothing this thing can actually do to hurt them. And they talk to it, and it turns out it's the remnant of the soul of a plane, and it wants to let, itself inside one of their souls. It can give them power. But then one of them eventually is like, yeah, sure, I'll do that. I'll make that deal. And then finds out, they already have, like, some ancient entity inside them. And so this allowed the players to surmise what was the thing that, was in them all, that they all share. This ancient god, dormant, sleeping god within their souls. And they found that out, right? Later in the adventure, they went to a library to, like, confirm and do some research things. And the difference in player engagement between Lore Dump talking to mysterious tar pit that they think might kill them, and Lore Dump researching in the library, right? One was an example of my success. One was, less engaging.
That's like such a great point. I do a lot of lore dumping in one of my games because my players are not familiar or very familiar with the world in general. They're either new to D&D entirely or new to fantasy in some cases. So I do a lot of explaining, and I find that they love talking, right? They love to ask somebody questions, right? If I put an NPC in front of them, they'll just ask them questions all day. If I put them in a library, or if I literally like give them a newspaper, which I have meticulously created in Photoshop and
like read the headline and toss it aside.
Yeah, they literally don't. So this is a good lesson for all of you.
Failing New York Times, I don't care about this.
Yeah, that's
give me the New York Daily News.
Fake news.
Please.
I get all of my information from
the Post.
Yeah.
The Town Crier. Yeah.
They have radio. Was there a radio device in Eberron? There wasn't anything that like.
No, there's no radio.
There's just like a sending stone. Anyway,
there's the telegraph.
The
magic telegraph.
The point is that, and this may vary from group to group because I love a library and I love to use my investigate skill in games, but it may just it may be more organic and engaging to put somebody knowledgeable in front of them and just say, what do you want to know? So yeah. That's
or especially something weird and mysterious, a powerful artifact that can talk, a mysterious entity, a wise and old wizard stuck in a tree, that might be kind of scary. But I mean, the risk you run there, and I had completely prepared for the fact that the players show up on this moonscape, talk to the mysterious tar pit world soul, and be like, oh, this thing's weird, it might want to hurt us, let's get out of here, we got other things to do, right? They could have done that.
Yeah.
And then, I never like to plop them in front of a library, but the villain they just killed was very knowledgeable and had done lots of research. So, of course, they had a library, so, you gotta, let them try it. But it's not as fun, right?
Yeah, it's not as fun. I feel like a library requires... I don't know, you gotta have handouts or things to show, which can be fun. But it's a little bit harder to do than just having putting an interesting conversation in front of them, especially
even if you have great book titles, they don't care.
Yeah, they don't care.
I had some great book titles. Oh, how's your games been going, Rob?
Good. I took a weekend off because I was feeling a little underwater and I wanted to step back and reestablish, put some stuff in Roll20, double check my notes, get a good foundation under me. This is a pro tip for all of you beginners and experienced DMs. Don't be afraid to say, hey, I need a week to get caught up. I'd like to be more prepared.
Especially with Roll20, God.
Yeah, especially with Roll20. It wasn't bad, but I was like, I just would like a little bit extra time to throw in some tokens and some maps and some notes so that if things go off the rails, which they always do, that I have something to fall back on. Especially now in this moment, it's also a great time to maybe offload, or give one of your players a chance to run a one-shot or a short session. Encourage them to do so. We're going to talk a bit. Actually, maybe we should just transition to this right now.
Yeah, sure.
Because
let's transition.
We're transitioning to the news or current events. a lot of people, a lot of companies, brands are releasing free or discounted content and things for all of us who are stuck on lockdown. And one such brand is Wizards of the Coast, which has, among other things, released some free content. And they're going to be releasing free content, I think, all month, maybe? But
every day?
Every day?
A drip of content?
Which is pretty cool. There's, so right now, this is Tuesday, the 7th of April. Last Minds of Phandelver is free on D&D Beyond, and I think they're going to release some bits of Saltmarsh and another one, and also some tokens and character sheets, little bits and bobs. But so you should definitely check the Wizards website for free stuff, because free is free. And, you know, this is great. This is a great place to start. I actually really like The Last Minds of Phandelver. It's really good at explaining the game to literal first-timers, people who have never played before. It walks you through all of the basics. It's a really great starting point.
Right. It's the adventures that the players can engage with can often be, you know, the sub-adventures completed in a single session. There's an interesting base of operations, right? A village. It's a great first adventure.
Yeah. What else? Oh, Roll20 is also, sorry, this was also very cool. The Roll20 is doing a stay-at-home, play-at-home special where they have released a bunch of things. They released a bunch of tokens and maps. They've also, and this is cool, there's Call of Cthulhu Quick Start rules that are free, and a Call of Cthulhu adventure, which is awesome. And then a couple of other free adventures for 5e and one others. And then if you are a pro subscriber, they've got even more. So if you follow our advice and are using Roll20, there's a bunch of cool free stuff that you can take advantage of, and you should. Free is free.
Yeah. There's also, it looks like, I mean, if I had to predict, it sounds like they're going to release one Adventure League adventure like per day, right? Because they got a million of those bastards.
Yeah, they got a ton of those. So keep your eye out for that. Oh, and that reminds me of a couple other things. Sorry. So we talked about, what was it called? VTT Tabletop?
Virtual Tabletop?
Virtual Tabletop last week. And I think the day after or 2 days after we released that, they went from beta to open beta or something like that. But you can check that out now.
Yeah, you can do it now.
We will... here's a vague promise. I will take a look at it, and hopefully we can talk about it in greater depth. I haven't had a chance to look at it, but if you're interested in trying something new or weren't satisfied with the options that are available to you, definitely check that out. We've
also got our one-shots are free. I think I mentioned this before. I did.
Did we mention this on the pod? Yeah, our one-shots are free. They're in our... we'll link them. But yeah, check them out. They're free. And I think there's a bunch of new stuff, potential online play platforms and tools coming online. I think if anybody was working on this, they're now like, you know, double timing it.
We gotta get this shit together.
Yeah, which is great for us. You know, we love Roll20. We do not think it is the best or even close to the best version of what we could potentially get. So I'm excited to see what comes out. Let them fight for our custom, and we'll see who emerges victorious.
Here's the thing about that is, like, I don't know. I sort of sung the praises of Roll20 in that we recommended it, but I think I just want to say it's not really any better than what other things could easily be.
Yeah,
one of the problems that probably I will run into is they're probably banking on is I've already sunk too much time in learning how to use it and resources and assets in it that are not transferable elsewhere. So I'm stuck.
I mean, only reason...
But you're free listening out there. I can imagine what exciting possibilities await you.
The only reason why I'm not switching to VTT or something else is even if they were good, I don't think I can teach my players a new system at this point. It's like, I don't want to disparage them. They're wonderful and they're smart, but nobody wants to like switch and like.
Come on, players are idiots. They're rubes and morons, and honestly, you got to lead them by hook and crook to whatever you want to teach them to do, whether it's the basic rules of the game or a complicated web browser-based program.
Right. Nobody wants to learn anything new at this point. They just want to play. So I suppose if I started a new game, I might try to give it a shot. But yeah, when we recommend Roll20, it's mostly like a sunk cost thing, to be honest. It's time, learning, everything's already set up. It's just, yeah. So we'll check those out, and I don't know, we'll talk about them a bit. But let us know if you've tried anything else and have recommendations. A few of you have written in, so yeah, big things are happening on the online TTRPG front.
Yeah, I mean, it can't be bad. Anything more is good.
Yes.
I'm still so surprised that there's not one. So all these VTT stuff, Fantasy Grounds, Roll20, most of them have something that like lets you connect what you have in D&D Beyond. But it's insane that that D&D Beyond itself does not have one that is integrated into the goddamn thing. So it's fine that it doesn't, because they would fuck it up, but whatever.
And also, isn't sorry, we haven't talked about this in forever, but D&D Beyond is not actually a WotC product, right? It's its own thing, right? It's like a whole separate company, which
it's owned by someone else, and they basically, I think, have like some profit sharing arrangement.
But it's just janky, Matt. The whole thing is just like if Wizards of the Coast were a even vaguely competent company, they would have their what? Am I wrong?
No, it's run by the owners are Fandom Inc., the people who run fine websites like Wikia websites, the for-profit wikis.
Great.
Yeah.
But if WotC was at all competent, they would have an integrated, D&D Beyond style platform and their own online play system. Did they try to do this for 4th edition and just like... They did.
It was called like, I don't know, D&D Online or D&D Tabletop, something like that.
Only good idea they had, and I don't even know if it was bad. They just borked it, either the rollout or the implementation. I wish they hadn't abandoned it, because I just love stringing together, 5 different systems and websites to try to like make a game work. It's my favorite thing in the world. I love it. I love to do it.
Like we said last time, if you're doing a new thing, just use a video chat program with a dice roller, nothing else. Just make it easy.
I mean, it's amazing that all of the technology in the world, and none of it is easy, is still easier, in any way easier than just having your character sheet written on paper. Like I like, no amount of integration has yet to actually work in a way that would encourage me to tell any of my players to use it unless they're comfortable experimenting. It's a mind boggle, Matt.
Yeah. The only innovation that has come that is truly good in the last 40 years of tabletop role-playing games are printing the text of your spells on little cards. That's the only good thing that's anyone's invented.
Yeah. The thing is, it doesn't have to be this way. It would be possible to create a functional app, that worked properly.
I know lots of people like D&D Beyond. I
like D&D Beyond too. It does not do everything that I want it to do, and that makes me kind of cranky. I mean, I use it for a lot of things, but well, I'm not even gonna don't even get started on the licensing bits and buying chunks and searching for things. It's just, I would pay more for something that worked. That's all I'm saying. All right, whatever.
All right, let's get mad at. Should we get mad at errata?
Oh yeah, let's get mad about errata. Yeah. So there's some new errata this week.
A wild errata has appeared. It's evolved to erratum.
4 things, right? This is Xanathar's guide, errata, right?
Which was released when we first started this show 2 years ago.
I'm pretty sure our
fucking time
4th or 5th episode was a review of Xanathar. So it's been a couple of years.
It's been.
2 years since I looked at... Actually, I think it might have been 2 years since I looked at Xanathars. Anyway, so what's the errata, Matt? What do we got?
So I think the first one was they changed Healing Spirit, which...
this is the main thing that we probably want to talk about. There's been a lot of Sturm und Drang about this, a lot of wailing and gnashing of teeth. What's the problem with this, Matt? They've changed Healing Spirit from a use of 1 plus your spellcasting score to it has a healing use limit of 1 plus your spellcasting mod now. Yes. So what's the problem here, Matt?
Well, I mean, so Healing Spirit was something that only, I think when we talked about Xanathars, if I'm remembering correctly, Healing Spirit is a spell for just druids and rangers, right?
Yes. Yeah.
You got to be special. You want to pick it up. And outside of combat, right, it basically, the idea of the spell is it only takes a bonus action to cast. It creates a 5-foot zone that players can basically move into and then move out of to heal themselves, right? Kind of a fun, interesting interaction, right?
Yeah, you do a big party conga line and get all healed up. It's great.
Or you create a zone on the battlefield right next to the enemy that's over the person hurt the most, and then the next person can move there, and it creates interesting terrain. It's a spell I really like. It, however, in terms of total hit points regained per spell level, is like the best spell out there, right?
Right, it's the most efficient spell in the game. Which is, so here's the thing. It clearly was not intended, right, to do 1 plus spellcasting score. That would be the only spell in the book that worked that way, right? Like that was clearly a mistake. Not that I think that it matters terribly that it was used the way that it was, but it's funny that it took them, I guess, 2 years to make this errata, because it seems like a misprint, obviously, that
nothing else in the game, like spell wise or ability, like class feature wise, anything really actually works off your ability score, the number between 8 and 20, right? Everything works off your ability modifier, usually plus something else, right? So yeah, it had to be just a mistake. I don't know why it took them so long to list this.
As written, though, it's pretty weak. So I don't know. This errata, I think, should have come with like a teensy buff, but I guess God forbid Rangers get anything useful. I'm not super broken up about this. None of my players discovered this particular trick. Prayer of Healing does much the same thing once a cleric can get it, but some people are upset, and partially rightfully so if you were a ranger or a druid that uses this a lot of the time. But such are the whims of errata. There is one good thing in this list of errata. Arcane Shot no longer requires a magic arrow.
Too bad. The Arcane Archer still sucks.
Sorry. But this this makes it like able to do things. I don't know. Why did it take them 2 years to do this? Like, it's already like a pretty bad subclass. This is easy fix. I don't know.
The Arcane Archer should be fucking Green Arrow or Hawkeye with magical, punching glove arrows and bolo arrows and all sorts of fun things, and it just sucks shit.
Yeah, it's just bad. It's just bad. Yeah. It's just real bad. The rest are just, tweaks, a change to Mind Spike's scaling, again, another obvious misprint, and then a chart fix. But mostly it was the Healing Spirit that we wanted to discuss. So, rest in peace, Healing Spirit, and Party Health Conga Line.
Yeah. Party Health Conga Line, out of combat healing, forever destroyed. Yep. Sorry, druids. Sorry, ragers. Should have rolled a cleric.
Yep, should have.
Bastards.
Should have rolled the designated healing class if you wanted to do any healing whatsoever. This maybe is like maybe we should table this for another episode, but it's just a good reminder of how poorly healing is kind of handled in 5th edition and how unsatisfying it is. I mean, I don't know, not poorly handled. There is probably a way to design a RPG where healing feels fun and dynamic and useful, but you have to design the game differently, I guess. I just feel like
they tried that in 4th edition. You could hit things and then heal something.
Yeah. Again, that was one of the things that I liked. That should have kept. Not everything in 4th edition was obviously trash. Well, whatever. Yeah. So.
Yeah. I think, honestly, they should just buff the amount that healing spells do by a lot. Honestly.
Mm-hmm.
They suck. I don't know why they're like 2d4. It should be more.
I mean, yeah, I mean, if this also gets into short rests and long rests and encounters per day and all kinds of things where the fundamental balance...
My least favorite part of the game.
Yeah. Where the fundamental balance of the game kind of starts to... the cracks start to show. Anyway. So, that's that.
Some letters?
Some letters. Our first one comes from Abstract Figure, who writes, I don't do Twitter, so I can't at you on there. Good for you. Don't do Twitter. This is in relation to our 30-minute off-topic conversation about Baby Yoda from a couple of weeks ago. So,
Baby Yoda is a baby.
Yoda,
we solved that.
Yep. Abstract Figure writes, Baby Yoda has to be 2 or 3. No, toddler. No language. We were trying to estimate how old Yoda would live to be if a 50-year-old Baby Yoda was toddler-like. So if Baby Yoda is 2 and is 50...
Without rehashing this whole thing, because I already figured it all out,
You figured it out. I know.
Yoda's a teenager.
Yeah.
Yoda is an older teenager. He's just about to
That's right. We figured this out. So the lesson is that Yoda's species barely makes it out of adolescence before dying of old age. It's just they wither away as soon as they barely out of into adulthood. So
did we talk about how Fantasy Flight Games lost the Star Wars license? I'm still sad about that because I've actually used some of the really good Fantasy Flight adventures as inspiration for some of my homebrew stuff, and I'm just sad they're not going to make them anymore.
Yeah, who has or does anybody have the Star Wars RPG license, or is it just like, I'm sure somebody does, and it's just like they're not done producing it yet. I'm sure they've handed it off to somebody else. But what do you think the chances are that when we get a new Star Wars RPG that includes the sequel trilogy, that it's going to suck a lot? What do you think? I'd say almost positive. The almost 100% chance is going to be Garbo, just the worst. Yeah.
Thanks for writing in, Abstract Figure. That's a great point.
Oh, no, sorry. There's one more thing I wanted to talk about in Abstract Figures. Sorry. This was news. We're talking about Star Wars. You guys have to deal with it.
Sure.
The Emperor from one of the new Palpatines was a clone. Matt, what do we think about that? What do we think about this maybe question mark retcon that the Emperor is a clone? Clone of whom?
No, a clone made out... The Emperor in Episode 9 was a clone made out of half of the dead Emperor from Episode 6.
Oh,
okay.
Oh no, sorry, okay.
No, the only thing... I'm sorry, I don't believe this. This is fake news. Thanks for writing. Anyway, the only thing that makes sense is that the guy on the final boss planet of Episode 9, the newest one, was the original. That's the only thing that I will accept, and that's the only thing that makes sense, is that he's the original because he's hooked up to a glass dose machine.
Why would he be old and decrepit if he was a clone from like 20 years ago?
Yeah.
Like, why didn't they clone like a fresh Hale body?
Yeah. Why didn't he look like Sheev from the prequel trilogy?
Yeah, I don't buy it.
Or a young, sexy Ian. What's his name? Ian McDermott.
Ian. Yeah, McDermott, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Clear. Yeah, it's fake news. I don't believe it. Fake news.
I did finish The Mandalorian,
Oh,
finally.
yeah. Mandalorian's great, by the way. We love The Mandalorian. Folks, we love it.
Yeah, I think, if you haven't Seven Samurai your players yet, do that.
Oh,
do
yeah,
that.
it's always fun.
Yeah,
Actually, speaking of The Mandalorian, it's a great story of an adventuring party coming together, is what it is. You've got, you've got your charismatic loner leader who thinks he can do it on his own, but over time he gathers a ragtag party of
you got your wizard who's also a baby,
or
cleric. I
that
don't know.
trope we know and love, a baby wizard, baby cleric. Yeah, you've got a soldier, a fighter,
Psychotic robot. Assassin.
Gotta have a psychotic robot.
Basically
assassin.
a rogue.
Yeah, rogue.
And an Ungadon.
There was a class in one of the Star Wars RPGs. It was just like a fixing things class. What was it called?
The Fringer.
Fringer, or
the
something
mechanic.
like that. Mechanic.
Or...
Anyway, so yeah, it's an adventuring party. Mandalorian's about an adventuring party.
One of the things we've never talked about, I don't think, and maybe we should do a deep dive. I would love to go back and review one of my old loves, which is the West End Star Wars D6 system, which basically invented like a billion different things that are now canon and have made it into things like The Mandalorian. I mean, you could probably blink and miss it, but things like vibro knives and vibro blades were in The Mandalorian, like their little buzzing knives. Those were like from West End,
and
right?
those have been standard
they
for a while.
started in
but they got invented
RPG.
by
Speaking of things based off RPGs, it's not actually based off RPGs. It's based off the source book of the same materials. But if you haven't started watching, I've only seen the first a couple episodes. Amazon's Tales from the Loop.
Ooh, I haven't seen it yet, but I hear it's good.
It's basically like if Stranger Things was made by a Swedish Wes Anderson, and it was also episodic in the way like a Twilight Zone or Outer Limits are, and it was also set in the town of Eureka from the NBC sitcom, and it was also
that takes me back,
and it was also about brutalist architecture and a decaying welfare state.
Oh, we love brutalist architecture.
I don't know, what was Stranger Things? What was the point of Stranger Things? What was the moral?
Friendship.
What's the message?
Conquers.
Friendship, yeah.
Friendship is more powerful than Lovecraftian monsters from another dimension. I don't know.
This one's like, we'll never recover the amount of state spending into science, technology, and infrastructure that we had in the Cold War, post-World War II boom. And sorry, everything's broken now.
Wow,
have fun.
That's great. I can't wait to watch that and feel good about
very
myself.
Depressing. It's very depressing. Oh, it's super fun. If you like Twilight Zone.
No, I'm going to watch it. I'm going to watch it.
Stories.
It's exactly my shit. Okay, next letter, Matt.
Sure. This is from Josie. Josie writes, "Hey all, love the show and it has helped me with a lot of new ideas on how to improve our sessions and my world. The main issue that I feel is lacking in our sessions are story plots or things related to the PC's backstories. My characters gave me fairly generic backstories when we started, and every session we've been having a prompt to try and get more insight into them. But I would like to take it a step further. My main issue is the balance of how much creative license to take with backstories. If someone like the PC says they're from a small town or a small family, do I just pick a town? What family member should they have? Do you have any tips for this or experience of a similar nature? Thanks, Josie."
This is a little bit like what we were talking about at the beginning.
Yeah, it's a good question.
That's a great question, Josie. So this is a pretty common problem, and I wish I could give you a concrete answer, but really, you kind of just have to feel it out. And it depends on your players what I find that I end up doing a lot is exactly what you described. Pick a town and a family member. If they're not going to fill it out for you, do your best based on how they role play and what you know about them, and try to give them something to work off of. I will sometimes, like, just if they haven't finished, to be like, the town you're from, Schwartzville, over here in the Eichenwald.
Yeah. It's like here, hey, look, it's your, when you enter this town, you're greeted by your, estranged Uncle Andy. And they're like, no, I want my family member to be my sister. Your estranged sister.
Right.
Sister Andy, right? You can do a little stuff like that. If they haven't given it to you and they want to reconfigure some things, perfectly fine.
Yeah. That's also a great point. Like, if you throw in, I threw in an uncle, and if they don't want an uncle and they're like, nah, I don't have an uncle, it was, a cousin or whatever, or you're like, oh, I meant cousin. Like, that's not a big deal. Like, that's fine. And if that's what it takes to force them to, like, think about their backstory, that's okay too.
I mean, that second part of the question is the easy part, right? Creative license, right? Be flexible with your players, give them a little editorial power, but if they've left it generic, but they want their hometown to feature in the adventure, just throw it in there. You get to make it up. This
is frustrating. You want your players to give you, like, a lot of detail to work with, but in my experience, they generally don't, and sometimes you have to give them a little nudge, and they should be okay with this. And if you get it right, it can be really fun. They get really excited about you helping them build their backstory. So it's partially like getting comfortable with your players and with, their backstories, but have fun with it.
The bigger question and the bigger challenge that Josie's letter brings up is, how do you integrate player backstories and character arcs, right, into the main plot, right? Mm-hmm. Especially when your players haven't given you much in terms of backstories. Now, my caveat for our answers on this is, remember, you don't have to. Obviously, this is something you want to do, Josie, but this is not a requirement of playing really any role-playing game, right?
Yeah. This is risky because you really don't want, in my opinion, don't want the major plot to hinge on an element of backstory that you haven't really hashed out with a player ahead of time. That's a potential for either to not go well or the rest of the party to feel left out. A good way to...
Because remember, you can, integrate character stories in the plot that emerges through the game, right?
Yeah.
But, that being said, you can still do this.
Yeah. I prefer to weave in character backstories, but leave it peripheral or put them in important side plots, that play into the main story, but don't, I don't usually hang the whole story on it. So... this is, again, I wish I had a clear answer for you, but this is just, getting to know your players and your story and doing your best with what you're given.
Right. I would say, for me in my personal games, right, player motivation takes precedence over player backstory, right? So it's important to me as a dungeon master that the overall plot, instead of it relating to characters' backstories, it relates to the PCs, the characters' motivations and goals. And I want to make sure those two things are in lockstep. But you can also do the same thing, right, with backstories, right? One useful thing, right, is to just, it sounds like you're already doing this, right, is give one backstory thing per player in your game, right? And then integrate it into the plot, right? It may make the world feel a little small, but it will make the characters feel very close to the plot. Oh, my, father, who is a more powerful wizard than I am, is in fact the wizard that is the advisor to the king that we're working for.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's good advice. Josie, thanks for writing in. It's a great question. Good luck with your game.
Thanks, Josie.
Our next one comes from Nick. Nick writes, "Hey, DMs of none. Wanted to shout out two of my favorite old web comics for your personal viewing pleasure if you haven't read them. These are Darths and Droids and or DM of the Rings. These are screen capture comics from the prequel Star Wars and Lord of the Rings movies, depicting the movie as if it were played as a role-playing game. If you haven't read them, I highly encourage them. Thanks, Nick."
What's a cheddar monk? No.
Matt, listen, the hydrodynamics of the interior of the planet of Naboo are highly complex, and it's important to know these are great. Sorry, in case you can't tell, Matt and I read all.
Fuck it, let's play BattleTech.
Yeah, we read all of these. These are really good. These are Web 1.0 relics. These were around when we were in.
Darts and Droid is still going.
Is it still going?
It's still going. I don't read anymore, but it's still going.
Mad respect. I haven't read it in a decade. These are really funny. Check them out. Some of the old ones are absolutely really, really good. Like any other daily, weekly webcomic, like it's hit and miss, but there are some really like brilliant bits. So these are fun places to go. They're a goofy send up of
I think
the
DM
movies.
of the Rings has aged less well, if I can remember it at all. But Darts and Droids, the first season of it or whatever is gold, because honestly the only way the fucking Phantom Menace makes any sense at all is if it's a bad role-playing game.
Yeah. Darts and Droids is definitely it's amazing.
Why does Jar Jar Binks exist? Someone's little sibling walked
That's
into
right.
the
Let's
game
say he
room
walked in
and
and
was
it's like,
I'm gonna be a dinosaur pony that has floppy ears and talks in a dumb way.
It makes the prequels make sense. Yeah.
Oh man. It also brings up the great debate of, what class are the Jedi Knights? Are they paladins? Are they gishes, wizard mages, right? I guess clerics, monks. They're every class.
All of the above. Like Batman, they are every class. Yeah.
Don't ever let your players make a custom class called Jedi. I was just remembering that they make the entire plot of the first movie about a lost orb, that fucking glowing light ball that shows up when they're doing the like final dance and celebration. You're like, what the fuck is this weird Tesla orb? Why is Donald Trump touching the orb?
That's right. Oh god, that orb.
Greetings, O Wise Podcast DMs. Just a few notes on your most recent episode. Fantasy Grounds does not require every player to buy a copy of the software. The free demo version can connect to a regular paid copy for a one-on-one game. Additionally, there is an ultimate license that allows unlimited demo licenses to connect. Both the regular and ultimate licenses are available as monthly subscriptions from the Fantasy Grounds website. Okay.
Yeah, so our mistake. Fantasy Grounds that's much more reasonable than I thought it was. So
yeah,
consider us corrected.
Another cool tool to look at is the Beyond 20 Chrome extension. It allows players to roll directly in Roll20 or Foundry VTT from their D&D Beyond character sheet, and DMs to roll for monsters. It's a good alternative to having to create and assign a sheet for everyone to fill out in Roll20. Oh my god. It's especially handy for Adventure League games. Speaking of Adventure League, feedback on a previous episode. Unearthed Arcana is not Adventure League legal. Keep rolling them dice, Joe.
I'm gonna have to check out this Chrome extension because that's literally what I was griping about earlier. And if that works,
yeah, holy shit,
that would be amazing.
We're gonna include a link to that in the description. Because how many times have I cut and pasted the text of a monster from D&D Beyond into Roll20, and then of course I still have to type out what their rolls are. Oh man, that's amazing.
I don't know what we said. If we said that Unearthed Arcana was Adventures League legal, we are dumb and wrong. I think we do that, but we were probably speculating irresponsibly, as we are wont to do.
I think it was Rob speculating irresponsibly.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck about Adventures League. I don't even really know what it is. So,
one more thing. Oh yeah, sorry. Another person wrote in that there's
Dear Americans, I want to apologize. Things were happening under my watch that I should and could have known about.
A deep cut there, Matt. Definitely everybody is going to know which president you were referencing.
Yeah, I mean, my impression of the Gipper is so good.
Oh, God. Sorry, this other comment is that there's a Fantasy Grounds Ultimate sub where you, the GM, pay $10 a month and all players play for fee. Once again, foisting the responsibility upon the already overburdened shoulders of the DM. But yeah, it's still better than making everybody pay for it. Make your players, Rob. Make your players pitch in. Make them pay you. Make them pay you.
I mean, Yes. All Fantasy Grounds and Roll20 want to do is set up this thing and extract rent from us.
That's right.
It's fucking... Okay, it's fine. Whatever.
It's fine. Rent seeking. Look it up. All right, next letter. Dearest DMs of none. I hope this pandemic is treating you well. It's not. My group had our first virtual session 2 weeks ago, and it went relatively well. First time using Roll20, so still figuring out the kinks, etc. The one downside is my wife can hear me making sound effects and doing silly voices. My girlfriend has also commented on my my voices while she's sitting right next to me, and I'm bellowing in one of my monster voices. The plus side is that I've started running another game for all of our kids so they can get some dragon slaying time. That's awesome. On to the campaign help request. One of my players, half-elf rogue, had a background about not knowing her mom and her dad dying when she was little. Classic D&D story. Long story short, I made up a story about her mom being an elite spy/soldier that went missing, presumed dead. A decade ago, during a great war, later on she learned that her mom's heart still beats. Total improv on my part. So this leads to them learning she is somewhere in the Underdark. They want to go and find her, obviously. So I need help on figuring out why her mom is there still and not dead. My initial thought is that she was taken a prisoner or enthralled by magical means. Maybe the Drow want to use them in another attempt to attack the upper worlds, help infiltrate, etc., etc.
Okay.
On a separate note, another player is secretly trying to become a lich. So that's next on my list. Well, we got to talk about that too. Take care, and thanks for rolling the dice, Matt. Also Matt. Okay. I love prophecies with a twist. Yeah.
It sounds like your players assume her heart still beats, means that she is alive. So I think we should make a way for her to be, her heart still beats, but maybe not exactly the exact meaning that they expected. Unless you don't want to go too dark because this is a game for your children.
Yeah, I mean, it's
their mother.
I like the way you left it open, but it could get grim. I mean, so if she's in the Underdark, a few obvious things come to mind. There's lots of ways why she might have been mistakenly assumed to be dead and still be alive. I can imagine she was made into a slave by the Drow, which is what they do. Or perhaps she faked, given that this is the Drow and it's a matriarchal society, perhaps she faked her death and is now
a spy and a Drow wearing a hat of disguise. I like that. I like that a little bit better if you want to go not super dark in that. Oh, your mom is leading a rebellion of all the good Drow against the evil Drow as a anti-Lolth spy, and you can help her achieve her goals, right? She's limited in what she can do, and she needs your help.
Yeah, I mean, that's, I think, the least grim one. Like, if you want to do a horrible dark twist with her heart still beats, you know, she could be some sort of monstrosity or mind slave to illithids or any number of things. But I would caution against that if this is a game for children. And I can think of a lot of good reasons for her to still be...
She had seromorphosis performed on her. Her body is now controlled by a lithid.
Yeah, that's not...
She's completely gone.
Yeah.
No, don't do that.
Yeah.
So I like rebel leader.
Yeah. Or just, deep cover spy. Ooh, that would actually be fun. You go to any number of Drow cities and have to find her and either extract her or meet with her without blowing her cover. Bring her in from the cold. Ooh, this could be a really good, spy.
Yeah, her mom was an elf spy, and basically the elves have been waging an internal war between the surface elves and the Drow elves, and surface elves realized their only chance of victory was to infiltrate the Drow and take out, the Lolth staff or whatever, the thing that gives the Drow their power, and her mom is working on that.
Yeah. I think a lot of good things. I'm curious to see what you come up with. This is a great example of improving and it working out. I love the way the story has taken. Just run with it. I would definitely lean towards a spy or leading a rebellion rather than something grimmer. But this is a great story hook. I love where this is going. About the Lich, don't let your player become a Lich. Don't even let them consider the possibility of becoming a Lich. I guess I guess it can be like a good long-term goal, but you want to steer them away from that eventually, because they have to do like aggressively evil things to become a lich, and unless your whole party is on board with murdering people like for no good reason, then it creates weirdness.
I mean, it depends on the type of game you have, but in mini games, the path to becoming a lich is also the path to becoming an NPC. Again, depends on your style of play.
That's true.
This could be a game where, one player is becoming a lich and another person is rescuing their mom, and that's fine.
Yeah, that's true. I guess I would say if they're going to become a lich, they need to be ready to retire the character or they're leaving the game. Otherwise, yeah, it gets weird.
Or make your game weird.
Or make your game weird.
All right. Yeah, thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Matt.
Sorry, go ahead. Yeah, okay. Here's our next letter. It's from Darren. I highly recommend mythweavers.com for play-by-post forum gaming. I've been a member there since 2007, and there are always dozens of games recruiting for new players. They have a lot of quality of life features custom built compared to the giant in the playground forums, because Mythweavers specializes in play-by-post gaming. I've also started playing in a couple of play-by-post games over Discord. This tends to have a faster pace because most people are logged in all day, and they'll see updates as soon as you post them instead of checking on the forum every day or so. Darren,
this is great, actually. I've never used Mythweavers, but I think it's super cool that there's a dedicated site, and of course there is. I apologize for not knowing this ahead of time. So if you are interested in play-by-post, definitely check this out. I took a quick look, and it's totally built for it. Also, Discord's a great suggestion because you can drop images, you can roll in Discord, you can just leave it up and chat back and forth. So if your internet isn't sufficiently good for video or voice chat, or you aren't able to commit to, even a few hour chunks, maybe you've got kids at home, in which case, God bless you and good luck. This is a great option. So definitely thanks, Darren, for the suggestion. And
yeah, thank you, Darren.
Yeah, we'll drop a link to Mythweavers. Thanks everybody for writing in. We're here all the time, forever time. COVID-19 has us all in our homes. Write us at dmofnone@gmail.com. If you've got more questions, add us on Twitter at dmofnone. Call us on the hotline. Matt, what's that number?
774-203-4629, the Dungeon Master hotline.
We'd love to hear your lovely voice. We'll play you on the air. And yeah, thanks to everybody who wrote in. Thanks for listening. Please rate, review, subscribe, and keep rolling them dice.